We're back. We're going to put on our tinfoil hats. We're going to talk about the updated Vecna lore for 5th edition D&D. So much to unpack here. Go get your wall of crazy. Hey everybody, Jordan here. The PH is silent. And if you didn't catch my earlier video, we've been following this trail breadcrumbs of clues that Wizards of the Coast has been leaving us in the 5th edition D&D adventures that revolve around a black obelisk. And a lot of that has been tied back to Vecna. So for those of you who don't know, there are black obelisks in a lot of the 5th edition Forgotten Realms adventures. And they're always this just weird, mysterious black obelisk. Nobody really knows what it does, but it has bad vibes about it. They're all kind of tied to Vecna, is the too long didn't read of this video that you could watch, although I think it's a lot of fun to go through. And you get to see my wall of crazy I built in Notion. Now with that, D&D Beyond, well, the Wizards of the Coast now owns D&D Beyond. They have released a Vecna dossier that has information on Vecna for 5e specifically, and there are some lore changes as eventually those always happen with additions and what have you. So let's look at that and see what's going on. Here we are. If you go to dndbeyond.com/claim/source/Vecna, you'll see the Vecna dossier. This is free. I've already claimed it, so I'm over here, and this is what you get. And it's a 5th edition stat block for Vecna. He's a CR26 creature, super powerful, has like a bunch of crazy stuff going on. And why make this just publicly available? I don't really know. We also have updated new art for Vecna, the Book of Vile Darkness. So, and you know, his eyeball down there hanging out. What's interesting, and a lot of people on our Discord were talking, is like he has 2 hands and he has 2 eyes, and I don't know why he would. Feels weird. Let's go through this. We're just going to kind of talk about this and then tie it back to the obelisks. So on Countless Worlds, his name evokes terror. He's Vecna the Undying King, Lord of the Rotted Tower, so on and so on and so on. It is said that Vecna was born on Oerth, which is true, son of a hedge witch and a father that he never knew. Now, according to legend, Vecna went on to forge a kingdom in the world of Greyhawk. He ruled for several centuries from an obsidian tower, which is kind of cool. This was never really, as far as all the things I've read, has never been labeled obsidian until now, but we have all of these obsidian black obelisks. That rose from the bottoms of the black waters of the Near Div to stretch far above its surface. I looked this up. This is just a lake in Oerth, and apparently he had a tower here. And it was there that he finally transformed into being a lich. And then at some point he grew bored with Oerth and he started like looking out at other worlds. And this is interesting because it says that for a time he went to a place called Citadel of Cavidius, where he, you know, hung out there purposely. I'm like, did Vecna write this? So it says that he hung out there and it is located somewhere on the Field of Ash between the planes of earth and fire. So Citadel Cavidius is a domain of dread in the Ravenloft campaign setting, and Vecna was trapped there until you run the adventure and he figures out a way of escaping, and then he goes to Sigil. So really interesting stuff. This has changed though, that it was like he built this place maybe, or he just inhabited it. Who knows? I wonder if it'll make an appearance in 5e. And then from there it says, hey, this is where he met Cass the Bloody-Handed, who became his servant and rose the ranks, his general and stuff. And this is also changed because Cass the Bloody-Handed was his general on Oerth and betrayed him on Oerth. So I just thought that was interesting. We're changing it a little bit. In the Ravenloft campaign setting, Cass and Vecna hated each other. And Cass had one side of the Domain of Dread, and Vecna had the other side, and the two of them were just like constantly warring with their minions. Neither could ever win. This was their eternal torment. After the clash, Cass and Vecna disappeared for ages. The former latter emerged as the ruler of the wasteland domain of Tovag in the Shadowfell. Now, Tovag is the dark domain that Cass was imprisoned at. So I thought that was also interesting. And then Vecna spent time hopping from world to world, questing for his severed hand and eye. And more recently, Vecna decamped to the outer planes where he grew so powerful that he became a god. He has many worshippers, all are hungry for a taste of his immense power. Here's another fun little sentence. Because Vecna is said to have mastered magic allowing him to travel through time, he can appear in this form even on worlds where his severed hand and eye are already known artifacts. So the idea is that he's either found his hand and eye, or, well, I assume he was found his hand and eye, and then he can show up with that, even though the hand and eye of Vecna might still be on that world in some weird place. What I wanted to point out is that he has time-traveling magic, and the obelisks are spread out through space and time, and we're going to see them in different places. I'm really waiting for that Spelljammer obelisk to kind of tie all of this together. Maybe there's an obelisk in Radiant Citadel. We'll see. Another cool thing about this is he has, if you look at his torso, which I can zoom in here. He has the Book of Vile Darkness in his torso, which is kind of interesting. And I thought that was a fun, like, I don't know, like another piece of Vecna that you can find. Now, another question I've been asking myself is this all part of Stranger Things? Did they know that Stranger Things was going to use Vecna this far in the future that they're now like, okay, we gotta plan for Vecna this far out? Or I wonder if Wizards of the Coast called Netflix and said, hey, can you use Vecna going forward? This D&D thing's kind of taken off. I don't know if you know that. Going over to the Book of Vile Darkness, we kind of have an updated picture of the Book of Vile Darkness. I want to say it was something different than earlier. I couldn't quite remember. I don't know if that art was updated. I should look. Yeah, so that is updated. I'll find a picture of the Book of Vile Darkness and put it up on the screen. But I'm looking at my Dungeon Master's guide right here for 5e, and they 100% have updated the art. It is no longer, it is not this book at all. So that's really interesting. Yeah, okay, so here are the two different ones. We have this Book of Vile Darkness, which was the 5e Dungeon Master's Guide, Book of Vile Darkness, and now we have the updated Vecna one that is in, that's really interesting. They just quietly updated it. Nobody talked about that. Also now, Magic the Gathering, they had their Dungeons & Dragons Forgotten Realms set that came out, and this was the Vecna card that was part of that set. Now, this card is very different, and the Book of Vile Darkness looks very different. And it's interesting because of a lot of that art that came out of this Magic the Gathering set, they used that to for the book that came out around the same time. So I was curious why we have brand new Vecna art rather than using this already commissioned art, unless Vecna's supposed to be really important. And we're gonna see more of him in the future. Made me think. The Hand of Vecna, very different. Like, here we go. And then they also had the Eye of Vecna. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to show. This is the one I want to show. This is the Eye of Vecna. The cat kind of lizard-looking pupil, very different from the pupils here on him. Interesting that this art was changed. We also got this from WizKids came out, and this was a while ago. This was another like mantelpiece kind of art for D&D, but the Hand and Eye of Vecna here, and kind of spendy. I think this was $100+, but it's pretty cool. Obviously not something you're using like in-game, but kind of fun to have. And so of that art, I also wanted to talk about this Funko Pop came out, obviously using the new art that we saw. He's got his little like nose plugs and stuff. And he's got his gauntlet and stuff. And so this was the Vecna that came out for Funko that I remember quietly was released at GameStop, and I kind of just thought it was ugly and didn't really think anything of it. And that was a while ago. So I thought that was interesting. So going back, here's my wall of insanity, and I just wanted to go over this once again. But we have these adventures without and with, basically. So with unknown obelisks and the adventures that don't have obelisks in them. But Princes of the Apocalypse, Out of the Abyss, Storm King's Thunder, Tomb of Annihilation, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Baldur's Gate, Descent into Avernus, Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden, and that's the last one that I know of. A lot of people have pointed out that there are obelisks in Critical Role's world, but I don't know how tied in they are with Wizards of the Coast. So, and they don't feel the same, but I could be wrong. If you're interested in this, I go into more detail on it in my earlier video, and I would suggest that you go and watch that. I'll leave a link down below or in the top right corner, and you can check out all of that interesting stuff. Vecna, yeah, and secret updates. What's happening? What are they going to do with this? Why secretly update the Book of Vile Darkness art? I think this is really interesting. This art just came out of nowhere. Things to take away from this video. Ninja update of the Book of Vile Darkness art, and why. Why not use the Vecna art you just commissioned for Magic the Gathering for your D&D setting as you did with other stuff, like other pieces of art they used from that Magic the Gathering setting in a book. So that feels a little weird. And then specifically saying time-traveling magical lich and the obelisks being very much tied to like time magic and chronological stuff. So I don't know. And then actually another big takeaway is that his original tower was an obsidian black tower, which could be very reminiscent of like, I'm going to put these little mini towers out and they're going to be these black obelisks. But what do you think? The tinfoil hat conspiracy theory continues. I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below, and take care.